Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ask Lois, the Relatable Therapist. My name is Lois Goodall, and this channel is to help you to have positive family dynamics. And I do this by getting my inspiration from reality TV, real life events, or anything else that I feel that's going to help you to have those positive family dynamics. And so today, we're going to talk about Belle Collective, and that's another reality series. And I started watching that one, and just like I talked about with the other reality series, is I'm always late to the party. So I did find this reality series, and so I kind of want to talk about it because there's a lot of good information in it. And one of the reasons why I use reality TV is even though it's reality, it mirrors real life because a lot of those people in those reality shows, this is what they're going through for real. And a lot of us, we go through these everyday things also. And so that's why I chose to do the reality shows because it mirrors and we can learn a lot from reality TV. But before I get started, let me do my disclaimer. This video is protected by the Fair Use Act of 1976, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. And so let's go ahead and just jump right in and get started. And so I'm going to show you the two people that we're talking about today. So we're talking about Latrice Rodgers and her husband, Cliff Rodgers. And so, with this reality show, The Belle Collective, I'm just really excited about it because I love seeing successful Black women making their way, making their mark on this world. And they're entrepreneurs, and it follows these women, their personal life and their career life. And today I'm going to talk about Latrice Rodgers, and she is an entrepreneur and the founder of Goddess Lens, and that's a successful hair and beauty business. And so that's her husband, Cliff, and I think she's 32. I think she's 32, where there's a 20-year difference in their age. And so she calls him Zaddy. She calls him Zaddy because she says that she was looking for a father figure because her father abandoned her. And she actually says that. And so to me, when she said that, for me, that was the first red flag. You're in a relationship with somebody and you call them Zaddy. Now, we know sometimes people in the relationship, they'll call their husband daddy, but she actually went out to find someone that was like a father figure to her. So that was the first red flag. So throughout the series, because I'm on season one and I've looked at season one and season two. And so looking at that season, there's a lot of things that's happening with this relationship. So in the first episode, he's calling her fake and she was complaining that he's not uplifting me. So that was another red flag I saw. So throughout this series, I'm seeing some red flags. They had a Valentine's Day dinner and it didn't go like he wanted it to go. And they started arguing. And I saw the way he was talking to her. And he was talking very disrespectful to her. And that's something that's being noticed throughout the series is the way he talks to her. And the thing that I noticed, it seems like the more successful she got, the more he would talk down to her, the more he treated her more like his daughter, more so than his wife. And she would say things like that. One of the problems that we have is that he treats me like his daughter and he says things and he's disrespectful. And you see that throughout the series, that that's how he's treating her. But one of the things that really got me was I want to kind of talk about the incident in season 3, episode 1 through 4. So episodes 1 through 4, starting season 3, he was very upset with her that she had a friend of hers come move with them. I think his name was Josh because they were having some water problems. Incidentally, this is set in the city of Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. Shout out to Mississippi because my family is from Mississippi. My father's side of the family is from Mississippi. And so they're in Jackson, Mississippi, and they were having some type of problems with the water. So she had her friend, he's also one of her employees, she had him move in with him for a time, and he and Cliff did not get along. Her husband did not get along. And he would say, this employee would say some disparaging things about her husband. And granted, he shouldn't have said that. He should have just, whatever he saw happening in their relationship, he should have just left it alone. But he would say things in front of her husband, and she never would correct him. And so, of course, her husband would get upset about it. And then one incident they had, he's standing outside the door and he's listening to her friend slash employee sit there and just drag him and saying she shouldn't be with him and he's controlling. And so he's, visibly upset. So instead of them talking about it, he waits until Latrice goes out with a girlfriend to a bar and he shows up. And I felt very sad for her. I mean, I felt the heartache that she felt when actually came there, and he was saying all kind of disrespectful things to her. The first thing he did was he ordered her to take off her mic. I mean, he ordered her. He said, "Take off the mic." And so she was visibly, upset about that. Then he came to the bar. He said that she came to this bar without his permission. Now, she's an adult. And he's saying, you're supposed to get permission. This validates what she has been saying. He treats her like his daughter. Then he accused her of talking about him. And she was so upset, and you could saw he was grabbing on her, and she was like, I didn't say anything because people are watching me and I'm in the public eye, and so I didn't want to say anything, and I'm a businesswoman. And she was upset because of what he was doing, and she was saying people are videoing it, and people were out there with their cameras because when you're out in the public and people see a commotion, the first thing they're going to do, they're going to take out their camera and they're going to start videotaping. And so she was very upset about that. So the mics is off, but they still had the subtitle where you could see the words that he was saying. And he was using curse words and he was upset. Then he started talking about Josh, about how you let Josh say this. Now that happened at the house. Why did you wait all the way till the evening? It may have even been another day. And now you're talking about Josh. So he was so angry. And so he stayed at the bar and watched her with her friends. And she was embarrassed, ashamed, and humiliated. And one of the things he said was that he says, I run the household. And he says, if I say everything's going to stop, it's going to stop. Then he also said that um, I run the household, and that's what a man is supposed to do. So he's constantly referring to himself as the man. And even they had one episode when they were at the table a few episodes later, and she's trying to get him to see her as an equal. And he says, no, you're not equal to me. You won't be equal to me. And then he's trying to get her to have a baby. And she's saying, I don't want to have a kid. And he's like, well, either you're going to have a kid or you're going to have a child, or I'm going to put you out. And so it sounds like he's being funny, but he's really not. He's serious about he wants her to have a child. And what she's looking at is that, you know what? My career is just taking off. I don't want to have a child yet. That's not something that I want to do. And he's trying to force her to have a child. She says throughout the show is that, when people question, because he does this in front of people and question, she says, well, he's just being protective. He's just being protective of me. And he's just trying to look out for me. And so, but then on the other hand, she'll say that he's not treating me right. She'll say, I feel like I can't say anything. And a lot of times throughout the show, you see him yelling at her and her crying somewhere in a corner or in the car, and she's crying. And she says, I can't deal with this. Even a few times she wouldn't stay with her brother because she didn't want to be in the house with him. And so all of these red flags that's coming up. And so now he tells her it's either him or her friend. So now her friend, Josh, that works at the shop, he doesn't want her to be around him because he feels that he disrespected him. So you see all these red flags coming up in the relationship. And so as I was watching that, I was thinking, relationships are difficult and rough anyway. When you get into a relationship, there's a lot of things to consider. But when you have a 20-year gap, because she says he's 20 years her senior, there's a lot of things to consider. And so I just want to if you're in that type of relationship, or you're considering being in that type of relationship, it's more than just making sure that we're compatible when we're dating and the normal things that you go through when you're trying to get into a relationship, because there are a lot more challenges when you have that big of a gap. There are some positives in that. One of the positives is that if you marry somebody that's older, your relationship with someone that's older, if they have a career, they probably have connections. And for Latrice, this was good because she does say that her Zaddy, she calls him Zaddy, he helped her build her business because they've been together like 10 years before they got married. They had been together and then now a total of 10 years, she says. And so she says he helped her because she has buildings now, she has an empire, she's built up her beauty business. So because he's older and he had a career, he was able to help her. So that was a positive. And so for her, being a younger person, one of the pros is that they have a different perspective. They have a fresher look on life. They have more energy. So those are some of the things that she brings to the relationship. But one of the challenges in a relationship like this is communication. When you have that age gap, communication can be a problem. You may have different communication styles, but that's the same as if you were with somebody that's closer to your age. You have to learn how to communicate. But the reason why this is such an issue is the older person has grown up in a different era. And he may have a differences in how they see gender roles and a difference in how they see life. You see that very clearly because Latrice's husband, Cliff, he was born in a different era and he sees things differently. He even sees the roles and the genders for the male and the female differently. He says things like, it's up to the man. I run the house. What I say goes. You have to listen to what I say. So right then you can see that the era he grew up in, man was more dominant. And she's steady trying to fight and steady trying to get him to see her as an equal. And he doesn't see her as an equal. And he told her, you'll never be an equal. And so that's the communication problems that they're having. And that leads to a difficulty in relating and a misunderstanding in communicating because she's constantly trying to get him to see her, to hear her, and he's not hearing her. Another problem that you'll see in this age gap is a power in the balance in the relationship. And we see that in this situation, even though Latrice has her beauty business and she has built it up to a multi-million dollar establishment, he still sees her as less than. He still sees her as not knowing. He even says things like, you're supposed to come to me. You should have asked me first. And that's another issue when we talk about the balance of power. He sees her as being younger and inexperienced. Again, even though she's built up this multi-million dollar business, he still sees her as not knowing anything. There's a psychological issue of feeling like she's inadequate. And she says that. She says, I should be respected. He should be respecting me. He tears me down. I don't feel loved. And so we see those psychological issues that's coming up because of when you're younger, sometimes you do feel inadequate when you're around somebody older. Because she's younger, she feels inadequate. And because he's constantly saying that to her. Obviously, they need marital counseling right away, yesterday, last week. They need it because coming into this relationship, it's not the same as getting into a relationship with someone that's closer to your age because you have a lot of things in common. And you may even think the same. But when you have a 20-year difference, there's going to be a lot of challenges, more challenges than it would be if you were closer in age. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to talk about the issues and the challenges that I see in Latrice and Cliff's relationship because it is a 20-year difference. Now, because they're having these problems, some people with an age gap, they don't have these issues. But what happens is you have to be willing to listen to the other person. You have to be willing to understand that the other person, the younger person, may not be where you are because they don't have the experiences that you have. But also they do bring a wealth of experiences. And respect has to be first and foremost, respect for the other person. If you're trying to teach them something, allow them time to learn it, but to validate them, to give them the positive praise, to support them, and not to tear them down. And so those of you that have maybe you're in this type of relationship or you see the Belle Collective, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this and put it down in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm really loving the comments that I'm getting and the differences of perspective. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel. This channel is all about encouraging positive family dynamics. And if you know somebody in this situation, go ahead and share this video with them. Here's another video that's going to help you on your way to having positive family dynamics.